Welcome to the Starting Over podcast. I am your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is the show where we look at the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. I'm recording a little later in the week than normal, just for the pure fact I've been running around. I've been a little busy lately. In Kansas City, it has gotten cold. We had that rain that's just like, yep, it's fall and winter is coming, sort of rain, which I was walking around this morning and I had a coat on and stocking cap, and a couple of people were like, "Is it that cold outside?" And I'm like, "It's cold enough for me. It's 59 degrees." So. Anyway, just going to do some housekeeping stuff real quick. The blog is still on hiatus. Sorry about that. There's just really nothing to talk about. I'm not going to put just fluff out there. The next thing is I will be an employee at the wonderful place called Target, which is great, as soon as my drug test comes back, which I'm not too concerned about that at all. Anyway, my hours will be very chaotic. So what that means for the show is, in the Christmas to actually from whenever I start, possibly sometime next week, or this upcoming week, all the way to who knows when, I can't guarantee the timeliness of the show. Not to say that I'm not going to do the show or that you won't get shows or anything like that. It's just the fact of I can't guarantee that it's going to be out on Friday. Just for the pure fact of anyone that's worked retail, let alone retail during holiday season, understands that, yeah, you could be scheduled anytime, have to go in anytime. So you might see a show on a Monday and then another show on a Wednesday or whatever else, or show maybe a week late or a week and a half late. But that's just mainly because I'm busy and probably passed out tired at the end of the day. So. With that being said, you're probably wondering, what's today's topics about? Today's topic is about something that really comes down to the fundamentals of heroclix, and that is, how do I help grow my community? How do I help grow my community? Now, I will warn some people that's listened to a lot of my podcast. I am going to touch on some things from various other podcasts, but I am going to try to elaborate on some of those issues. So if you're like, daggone it, there's not secret meta tech this week, I'm sorry. Tune in next week. It might be there depending on what WizKids does. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at from the venue, the players, and the judge. And these are elements within your sphere of influence. We can't control WizKids. Whatever WizKids wants to do and say, they're going to do that, okay? But we can control or influence those around us, okay? And that's the big thing I want you to take out of this, is that you can influence people in positive ways for the benefit of your community. So we look at your venue, look at your player group, and lastly, the judge. The judge is really more of the linchpin, I feel, of the three. So anyway, so let's look at your venue. I had the joy to talk to Big Will Holland. He's a cool cat. Sometimes you hear him mentioned on Push to Regen, and he calls in and whatnot. But he had some issues with the venue that he was dealing with. And I pretty much figured he wouldn't mind me saying it. They did some stupid stuff. And they didn't run their business like a business. And so there was some conflicts of, hey, we're trying to get Fear Itself in, and they wouldn't do it, and they wouldn't get product in on time. And so people were going to buy it at other places. Okay. What ends up happening is when you look at the venue, you have to try to talk to the venue. And this is why I'm bringing up this story, because Will had talked to them for months, actually for really pretty much over half a year, about getting in on events and getting prize support and what can he do to help. He went even so far to offer to say like, hey, I can sit down with the previews and tell you what's going to sell and what's not going to sell. Okay, and when you think of it like that, that's something that some venues need. Not all venues. Some your bigger venues, they don't need that help. But if you are starting from scratch and you're saying, man, for my buddies and I want to play heroclix at a venue, there's two or three places in town I think we can possibly set up where we can get more people and be able to play in a comfortable space, you need to be able to talk to the venue. And you need to be able to be upfront with the venue about what your personal requirements for the space is. So if you think that the venue can host 15 people and you're only bringing in 5 people or 6 people every week, that space might work if they don't have Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic or Duel Masters or Pokemon or any other number of card games going on, or board games, or what is that? Warhammers takes up so much space. But if they don't have those games going on, hey, if we go to this venue, we have the potential, our maximum play group size can be 15. Now, I mean, and I don't want to be mean when I say this, if you go to a smaller venue, you have to understand, and I'm talking about small in space capacity, not small in people being there, that eventually you will hit maximum occupancy for your tournament. So you have to have a community that understands that, okay? So anyway, so you need to decide first off, hey, if I'm starting from scratch, how big do I think I can get this thing? And how much work do I want to put into this? If you're serious about putting in the legwork, God bless you, sir and ma'am, because it's a lot of time and effort. And the one thing that we learned about in organizational leadership is this. Pretty much content creation, organization, initiatives is like a pyramid. And I know a lot of people in the business world will say, like, oh, I've heard this one before. And yeah, it is. It's the same one. Pretty much at the bottom is most of the people. And most of the people are followers. Okay? And then the higher you go up, you hit apex, you hit the influential people. But the main reason it's a pyramid and not a square or a plateau or anything like that is because the amount of work that's required the higher you go up that pyramid, it becomes it becomes huge. And the word that I wanted to say could not come out of my mouth, unfortunately. Anyway, and so people's time commitment, personal work ethic, or just the plain fact that they don't want to do it, influences that pyramid. And so the people at the top that are most influential do a lot more behind the scenes work than you would care to believe. I would say this, as much as I don't like some things that go on HC Realms, I know that the people behind that put in a ton of work, including Typhon. Just be honest. And I understand that you have relationships and other stuff that has to go on, not just running a website. So there, you can say like, oh, well, he dedicates all his time to a website. Well, yeah, but he puts in, X amount of work. So that huge amount of work puts him at, near the top of the pyramid. Okay. So when you come to your venue, you need to say like, hey, do I want to make this the best heroclix experience in 5 states? then yeah, or, if I want to be the best heroclix event in the country, then yeah, you're going to put in time. But make sure that you don't come in with the mindset of, I put in all this time and everyone owes me. Those are the people that know. If you're like that, don't get into operating with the venue. Please don't. You're just going to cause problems. And I understand that we live in a world where, you feel like you have to get something out of your time, and you don't want to get walked all over, and people can be very abusive, not physically abusive, but just exploiting your resources of your time in multiple ways for their own gain. I understand that. Trust me. Trust me. But I can say from experience, that's one of the worst things that a venue can have going on. It's just someone's like, I did all this work, now pay me or do this for me. And you get a mini tyrant involved, it becomes a problem. The last thing I would say about dealing with the venue is you need to be able to have a open conversation about financial exchange. And yes, I did mean to phrase it like that. Okay, you need to let them know, okay, here, if we play and we don't buy from you, we don't have a problem paying $5 for space, because and we will, for every prize support thing, we will chip in and pay for that up front. So what it makes it clear is that he doesn't have to, that owner does not have to carry inventory. Okay, that's what you're saying to the owner. You don't have to carry inventory. We don't want you to carry inventory. In exchange, we're using this address. We will pay for prize support. Okay, and when you get it, we'll divvy it how we do it, and we'll play our games here, and we will pay to play here. Now, that sort of relationship is very rare. Very rare. I do know of one. And minor problems can arise. But I do know of one situation like that. And you can say, well, there's product that's involved to get prize support and all this other stuff like that. Yeah, and pretty much that product is bought either on, what was it? It was bought for like owner value, like store cost, and so it was just like whatever was the requirement to get what they needed, they would pay it. So in that situation, they're up front. Now, if you have a venue and they're like, well, come and play in our tournaments for free and whatnot, then I would say, hey, you know what? I'm interested in getting this. I am interested in not getting that. Okay, I don't like that. I like this. And be very blunt, and then buy what you say you are going to buy, and don't buy the things that you don't like. And I know that sounds dumb, but by going to the venue and saying, hey, I'm coming here, you have free tournaments, okay, then I will support you in these ways. Now, some people turn venue support into I am a slave for my venue, and that's where it becomes inappropriate. And let me define that. People will say like, well, how dare you go online and buy because that hurts your venue. And I'm like, how dare the venue not be competitive with online? It's not my job to take money that I've worked for and then just give it to someone else out of the goodness of my heart because I'm being amused at the time. And let's be honest, this is entertainment. You're listening to my show because it's entertainment. Okay? I mean, let's be honest. It helps you. It's educational and informative. But if you weren't entertained in some form or fashion, you wouldn't listen. Okay, so hey, what's the exchange? You listen to a YouTube ad. Wow. We have a business agreement. We have a relationship. I'll answer your questions. You listen to my show. You watch a YouTube ad. I get 0.001 cents. Okay, so but there's an open agreement. Everybody knows what's up and everybody knows what's going on. Okay, so you have to get some cojones and just talk to your venue. I do look at it like this. If the venue's like, we are ordering this much of blah 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 set, and then you just say like, hey, I'm not interested in that, and you go and I would say as a collective group, you all need to powwow and say, hey, who's interested so far in this set? I'm sort of interested. I'm not really too interested. That set can go, take 2 rocks to the wind. I don't care. If your collective says on average, like, we will buy a lot, a moderate, or very little, let your venue know. Okay, because really, I think a lot of venue, and I'm talking about venue businesses, not venue just location, but a lot of venues vent to whiz kids that they can't sell crap, this, that, and the other, for the pure fact that they just don't talk to their customer base, and their customer base doesn't talk to them about their legitimate wants and needs from the business. Because a lot of people are punkish. They're like, oh, if I let the business know that if I buy online, they might get pissed off. Well, if the dude or the lady gets pissed off, then you don't need to do business with them. Like, the plain and simple. It's like, it's the only venue in town. Then you need to have a working negotiation. Okay, because here's the thing: if there's only one venue in 40 miles that has heroclix, that guy has a monopoly on space, but he doesn't have a monopoly on you getting product. Like, pure and simple. And you just let them know, like, I can go online and get this. I like to play here. Can you work me a deal? And then they're going to tell you what their cost is and all this, that, and the other. And you can say, all right, here's your cost. This is your normal profit margin. This is what you get out of me normally when I come in. Okay, so this is what I'm willing to do with you. You cut me this rate, I buy chips and soda every time I come in here. Or you pay me, I pay full retail, you give me $20 in store credit. Okay, stuff like that. You can do this, people. That's the one thing about, and I know people who hear this phrase too often. That's the thing about Americans and some Western countries. There is no negotiation. There is no haggle. Okay, and it's just like, oh, face value, I'll pay that, and that's dumb. That's bad business. Oh, I pay face value. You would be surprised. You will be surprised how much you can haggle. For example, I went to Best Buy one time. They had a sign out for a hard drive, and I think it's the hard drive I have now. It's like, I think it was 100 gig. Yeah. No, 200 gig. 200 gig hard drive. And, no, that doesn't sound right. No, it was 100 gig hard drive. Anyway. So, I talk to him. I'm like, hey, I see this hard drive. The hard drive says for $60. And the guy rings it up. He's like, nope, that's $80. And I'm like, okay, well, I just won't buy it. And he's like, hold up, wait. Okay, so you're telling me that you just won't buy it. And I'm like, yeah. So he's like, well, show me the sign. So I show him, go over to where it was at. I point to, like, they're lined up directly here. The name of it says this. And they're like, oh, we're out of that series. Here's what I will do for you. I will cut, it's $89.99. It says $69.99 there. How about you pay $75 flat? And I'm like, okay, cool, I'll pay that. That's it. Now, you can't go and try to say, like, I'm going to get an Xbox One and a PS4 like that. No, that's not going to happen. Those suckers are in demand. But when you understand, and then the business understands, there is a moderate demand, that demand can be met somewhere else, and that they would lose direct, immediate now business, you have leverage. Okay, so, and some people are like, well, you're taking advantage of the venues. No, the venues 9 times out of 10 are taking advantage of you. So anyway, make sure, like I said, understand where you're going. Let the venue know your space requirements, your community requirements. If you bring pizza in, make sure they're cool with that. Don't just assume you can bring pizza and drinks in. Definitely if they sell candy and soda. Don't do that. Oh no, that's an easy way to make an enemy. Okay. And then, last but not least, get an open understanding. Have both sides understand, where the money exchange is. The venue has to get money. Okay? The venue has to get money. The question is for what, at how often, and what volume. Okay? In exchange, the venue must provide certain needs and products for you. That's it. That's it. So once you understand that, then it becomes a lot better relationship, instead of everyone be like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to do that, I don't want to be offensive. Get some fortitude. Get some fortitude. Anyway, all right, so let's move on. And let's talk about the actual community itself. And there's some key things that it might seem juvenile of what's about to come out of my mouth here, but it's essential for community growth. First off, understand people's way of life and economic situations. And I say this mainly because one venue that I attended at one period of time had some people that lower income, having a hard time getting by, and so sometimes what they came in to the venue in wasn't the best of clothing, or better yet, it had some things that were questionable. So it had some minor issues, just mainly because of just folks wanting to play, and the clothes weren't always clean. Sometimes the clothes were dirty, and so sometimes things were a little bit funky. But that was because of social economic situations, and you try to help some folks out, give some figures and whatnot. It encourages people to play, to spend what they can, but you have good community. Now, that's not saying, hey, gamer funk is okay. If I understand there's cats that come in and play. They have real outdoorsy jobs, and they come because this is their only time to play, and once every month. And so they just had that time they can get, right after work. And you got to understand that. What you can't sort of have to, you can't or really shouldn't accept is the guy that has time to get cleaned up, or has time to take care of himself, has economic needs or situation that's stable, and is just like lazy and doesn't want to just get cleaned up before they go out to play, and they smell really bad. Those are you got to bring that up, because that affects everybody else. And there are polite ways to bring it up. You don't just go up to somebody and say, like, you smell like donkey butt. You don't do that. There's tactful ways of doing it, and you better do it before the kids do it, because kids will. Hey, we all know, we were all kids. Kids don't have restraint nor tact. So get to that individual before the kids do it. And if that person that sort of does have an older issue as a kid, or a little boy or girl, and mainly because they run around all the time, that's sort of tolerable. Just sort of talk to their parents like, hey, hit them with a bar of deodorant before they come in. The next thing, community-wise, is and this might seem strange for me to say this. Determine what is the balance between casual and hardcore that you're going to meet. Okay? If your venue is nothing but casual people, I mean, if you're that hardcore guy, I'm sorry. You're just sort of out of luck, man. If your venue is nothing but hardcore and you want some breaks and no one's letting up, I'm sorry, you're out of luck. Where what it really comes into is having community and say, hey, I really want to do this scenario. Don't come in and be like, man, the meta is so messed up and everyone's playing all these messed up teams and it's just not fun. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Come up with solutions. Come up with nice ideas that people are interested in. And it makes people think of something different. That's the easiest way to see some changes going. But the best thing I can tell people when they're interacting with their community is when you are the minority point of view, the best thing is trying to show your point of view in a realistic light. Don't try to put the limelight and the fancy lens view and then have the face angles like you're about to put up that fake picture on Instagram and all that. No, don't do that. Okay? Be honest. Let people know the pros and cons of stuff. And even though you're like, oh, well, Dark Logos, well, if they hear stuff and they don't like, that's life. There's a lot of things I hear on a daily basis that I don't like. I got to deal with it. Okay? And so you have to look at it like, well, I want to have fun. Well, they're not doing your ideas anyway now. So what do you have to lose? Okay? The other big thing I would say is that people will do something or be in this one mindset because they're afraid. And they won't let other ideas or activities happen in a community. And one of the main reasons in heroclix is because, I hate to say AC Realms because it's a good part of this, but the paranoia hype train that is perpetuated on AC Realms, if you have a lot of realms participants, heavy realms participants that are part of your venue, it will kill a venue. Because so like if you have a casual venue and a lot of them on HC Realms, they're going to be like, hardcore is ruining the game, and didn't you see that thread on HC Realms? And then, on the other end, it's like, casual is ruining the games. Have you seen the thread on HC Realms? So it comes down to, getting people off the Kool-Aid before they drink. And then if you can't, having a stomach pump and some way to revive them. You gotta get that cup of Kool-Aid away from them so that your venue literally doesn't turn into Jonestown. Because the super crazy ideologues on either side in heroclix will destroy a community. And you won't hear a lot of folks be honest about that. Too many hardcore people who do nothing but play hardcore and don't do anything else and be little casual will kill a venue. You can't grow a venue like that. Okay? Having nothing but casuals that have their own little subset of rules, because see, that's the big thing about casuals. Casuals never play vanilla, anything. It's always an additional rule and limitations and Highlander, and you can't bring this and you can't bring that. You got to bring this if you bring that. That petty stuff will ruin games. It ruins so many games for me as a player. And I'm not even talking, the heroclix as well, but just other games, just those two groups, they just kill games, okay? So, and again, don't get me wrong, I'm not against house rules. I do think Highlander is a dumb rule considering how many Batmans, Wolverines, Hulks, Captain Americas, Supermans, Wonder Womans we buy. I think it's completely dumb. But I understand because someone got owned real hard by, Days of Futures Past Wolverine back when he came out in Fantastic Forces. And he was backed up by 3 other Wolverines, and that's why, there's a Highlander rule except for generics. Okay, cool, whatever. And believe it or not, that actually was a venue I went to. And then that was the reason why. It's because of freaking Days of Futures Past, Fantastic Four Wolverine. Fantastic Forces Wolverine. So anyway, the last thing we're sort of going into is keeping information open. I'm not saying everything has to be hyper timely and of the moment and in the now, and everyone knowing when you have to go eat a sandwich or take a crap. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that letting people know what's coming out. Let people know the sort of some tech ideas. You'll always hear me say, have a friend at the venue that you talk meta with. It doesn't have to be high level conversation. It doesn't have to be like, yes, this is the starting over podcast conversation series. No. Just talk to somebody about meta and talk to them about the game and have fun and talk to them about team building and teams. And it allows people to have a bond to come back and say, I like that person. I like Jim. Jim is cool. I like Tony. Tony's cool. I like Sarah. Sarah's cool. And we talk about various things, and and some people won't like me when I say this word, but it's true. We bond over this. When I was playing City of Heroes, one of the biggest things that was interesting to me was at one point in time, I hated the game but kept paying for it. I kid you not, I hated the game. I had the level cap was level 50. I had 2 accounts and at least 20 level 50s. At least. I probably had more. And I PvP'd and farmed and all that other stuff. And so, anyway, why did you might say, like, but Dark Logos, why'd you keep playing and give, Cryptic all your money? And it's like, because the people I played with. The people I played with provided such a sense of community, belonging, understanding. They sit and listen and talk about life and stuff, that it was hard to leave. So the digital crack wasn't so much the game. That dopamine high had sailed. It went and left. No matter how much City of Heroes I snorted, it still didn't do anything. But what made things exciting was being with my friends, being with this crew of men and having a role and being the informant and the guy that reads all the patches and knows all the tricks and stuff. And then the other guy, his role, he was sort of the douchebag, but I'll get everything in together, but I am also loyal as no other. And another guy, he just had the money, he wanted to provide a place for us all to hang out. Another guy, he helped organize farming, and he liked the idea of PvP, and I helped everybody do PvP. And I mean, everyone had their role, but we came together and we communicated, and that's what made everyone love the game. It really wasn't the game. If the game was WoW or the game was EverQuest, heck, I mean, even if the game was Parcheesi Online, okay, if that element of bonding will allow a person to keep playing regardless of them not having fun, that just is a testament to how strong community should be. So that's the big thing. Make sure people are having fun. Make sure people are bonding. Make sure people feel like they can voice their opinions. That doesn't mean kiss people's butt nor smack people in the face. But it does just say, hey, you can say your piece. Doesn't mean I'm going to like what you say. It doesn't mean I have to agree with what you say. Okay? But allow folks to say their piece and let them know what tone they can say their piece. I am of a person that I have the mindset of say what you want, but be tactful and be respectful. That's it. You can say, Dark Logos, I do not like many elements about your show, and I feel that it doesn't really contribute that much to heroclix. And I'm like, fine, thank you for sending me your feedback. I disagree strongly, but I respect your critique. Thank you for listening. I hope you find the podcast good for you. All right. Now, someone sent me a email or had a conversation with me and say, Dark Logos, you piece of trash. I can't believe you put this thing you call a podcast on the internet. You just do nothing but flood the internet full of crap, and you don't help heroclix at all. Man, I don't like you. If someone said that, do you think that I would have a very well-mannered response all the time? Not really. And you think I'm going to be respectful? I mean, I'm not going to cold cock somebody, but I would be thinking about it. And if somebody came back later and said something reasonable to me on any topic, do you think that I would have a high hurdle to get over to listen to that person? Yeah. So having that community, being respectful, being able to talk to folks is essential. Okay, last element, judges. And you might say, well, judges is part of community, blah, blah, blah. The judge is the fulcrum, okay, if I can say it like this. The judge is in between, the one side of the levee and the other side of the levee, okay? He's there to make sure that there's balance in the force. He's Qui-Gon Jinn, or Darth Vader, depending on how you want to look at it. And he cannot let one side get too out of control. Okay. Now you're like, well, Dark Logos, well, how is he supposed to do that? The judge is just there to make sure that he knows the rules and make sure the game goes on. That, for a person, and I'm going to say this, I was a judge, and I have judged since I stopped being a full-time judge, okay? That is so far from the truth. It's just the idea that the only thing the judge does is just moderate games. Now, in some venues, where the venue owner is on top of prize support and all these other elements, that may be true. Okay? That may be true. But for the rest of the venues, oh no. The judge has a bunch of key functions. So I'm going to go and elaborate on this and try to break it down a bit. The judge deals with the venue first because A, the venue appoints the judge, but B, the judge has to make sure that at such and such a time the venue is going to be open, what their stock is, what they're going to do, what's their prerogative on what they're trying to push and sell, and how much they're trying to push and sell. And usually the judge will hear most of the griping from the venue about WizKids, whatever that may be. I'm not going to go down that route, okay? So once you hear, you're like, okay, so what's the judge to do? Well, A, the judge just has to sit there and listen to the griping. The judge also has to make sure that, schedules tournaments on appropriate days. And let's be honest, to make sure it doesn't conflict with Magic, because most stores run on Magic. Okay, if a gaming store does not run Magic, they're either high or inept, and maybe both. Okay, but you have to look at it as, all right, when you look at the major money makers in the collectible business, it's Magic. So you have to make sure that your table space and whatever else is not conflicting with Magic, and your time and stuff is not conflicting with Magic, or if they don't have like a big tournament or pre-release or this, that, or the other. So the judge secures that. The judge makes sure that there's a safe transition of prize support from the owner's hands to his hands to the player's hands. Because I don't trust a lot of players to handle prize support. Just saying. Okay, the next thing that it just comes up, dealing with the venue is the judge has to tell the venue what's a good amount of product or acceptable ideas that can be pushed to the player base. It's part they're the drug pusher for the cartel and part advocate for the junkies. I know it sounds bad, but that's the only thing I can think of. So if the cartel is trying to say we need to move a ton of cocaine, and then the dealer's like, I can move half a ton of cocaine. I think we can only handle a half a ton of cocaine. Then that's it. Okay, now the cartel might get mad, but if the dealer says, look, we don't have that many fiends on the street, we can't deal a ton of cocaine, then then the boss will probably like, I understand where you're coming from, my friend. Okay, so that's the big thing. Now, when the judge goes in and deals with the community, it's a different hat. Okay, because the judge has to make sure that everyone knows the available dates, narrow down the available dates, and then try to get the most people at the available dates. And I don't envy a judge going into Christmas and Thanksgiving and Hanukkah and all that New Year's. Oh gosh, it just sucks. Oh man, it sucks so bad because people don't show up, and then you have sealed product and set comes out, and you have so bad, just so bad. Okay, so it becomes very frustrating from that element. The judge's next main goal is to create atmospheres, scenarios, and situations and leagues for the player base according to what they want to play and what will keep them coming, and having appropriate rewards established. Now, there are some people that will try to game the system no matter what as players. The judge is there to make sure that those people are limited. You restrict their evil. That's the lack of better word. Better phrasing. You restrict their evil. They exist. They come play, but you say you can come this far and no further. You cannot come further than this, and be real with it, and don't be a punk. If you are a person that can't say no to people, you should not be a judge, no matter how well you know the rules, because you have to police people, because people do evil stuff. Just being honest. Okay. The next thing that the big element when you're looking at your event coordination is, if you have a scenario, understand what your people can do with the scenario. Okay, start simple. And in the simplest scenario, I will tell the judges, if you're new to judging, go print off like a bunch of old battlefield conditions, ones that you think are funny. Okay? And then say, you put them all in the hat, have a little kid or one of the other players pull out one, and then you pull out one, and then bam, for this round, earthquake and bright lights is in effect. Okay, so people like, oh man, that so messes with my team, man. Oh, okay, and it's random and people have fun, and if people like it, sort of grow into what I call the elaborate scenario, where it's like everyone must have a captain, and your captain must be this many points, and the captain has this special power and build a force of this many points, and blah blah blah. Okay, you can, and if that goes well, you can ask your people, do you want to do campaigns? Okay, now people have different rules for campaigns, and one of the most notable ones that I remember was for a campaign, you were locked with your team, and your team had to be a non-generic theme team, and there were also teams that were banned. So like your X-Men, your Teen Titans, your Justice League, your Avengers. They were banned because those suckers are just way too powerful. You have way too much diversity. And so you had to have your team, and it was so many points. Okay, so you had to, if in the team that did the best overall through like a month and a half of play got like X amount of boosters and whatnot. And people paid like $6 into the league or something like that. And so here's what happens. The venue's happy because they're like, we got money for doing something, and yeah, the cost of a booster to us is like $6 a booster. Okay, that doesn't hurt us at all, you know. And so we got all these people in the league, and we've pretty much paid for this product up front, and we're going to make profit. They're not going to have a problem giving away boosters. Okay, and then you know the everybody gets something like, oh, you can get a common from upstairs, or you can get something from the case of $5 or less, so something like that. And those leagues do well. Okay. On the other end of long tournament play is the Blood Sport League. The Blood Sport League is rankings, restrictions of point values that either gradually go up or gradually go down, and it keeps going every week until the undefeated of the undefeateds fight each other for, you know, the final supremacy. Trust me, there are places that like that. I'm not saying your place is it, but it does add a little bit of spice into the venue when Blood League is going, because you know the final prize is a chase, or the final prize is a case of something or other. Oh man, and it becomes interesting. Now again, you always need to scale the prizes back to the volume of people that you have on a consistent basis, or the average mean of the people you have at a consistent basis. But you got to think about that. Okay. Now on the casual end, there is the long scenario. So sort of think of the campaign, but add in like you are going through a comic book. Okay, and everyone knows what issue you're in and what next week issue is going to be. And I've seen people go for 3 to 4 months on a single campaign, and it's fun. It does now. It makes it hard for the pop in, pop out sort of experience, but it is fun. People know what the scenario is, knows what the storyline is, knows how the teams pan out. If you know, if the villain teams win, the story goes this way. If the hero teams win, the story goes this way. You get the guy that became the judge because he was the best dungeon master out of all of them. Like that's really what it comes down to. You were a DM in your past gaming experience, and you still want to do a DM role while playing heroclix. There is nothing wrong with that. I actually like it. Okay, and if the venue wants to do that, then go do that. But you need to know limitations of that. The biggest limitation is if people pop out and then come back in and they're like, oh man, I was going to play this faction and the other faction won, and I don't like the disadvantages of my faction now. Oh, I don't know if I want to play. That sort of stuff, I hate that. That's when people punk out because their side isn't losing. I mean, their side is losing, sorry. Anyway, so it's complex, it's fun. It allows for a lot of depth for the player base, and it really brings people together to play. So you know, you could come up with your hybrids of all these ideas that I've given out, add in your own. Trust me, man, I'm not the exhaustive encyclopedia or dictionary on any of this when it comes to event ideas. So yeah, that's mostly it. So that's mostly it. So let's wrap some things up. Pretty much, you can subscribe to me on Twitter at StartOverPod. That's at StartOverPod. It came from outer space, son. Went and slapped a star silly and ate moon dust. Also, you know, you can hit the subscribe button if you so choose. but it's better to follow me on Twitter. Uh, if you do care, you can email me at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. Keep it fun, keep it piffy, keep it interesting, but keep it reals and reels. Let me know. What's your thoughts about Batman Origins so far? And then also, did you pick up any Batman 66 or Thor: The Dark World? And what's your take? So let me know. Like I said, the blog's on hiatus, but if you want to look at old blog entries and give me pennies, and micro pennies of ad revenue, check out the blog at startingoverpodcast.blogspot.com. And for anyone that plays HCO online, I have a special treat for you. Brought to you by the man, the myth, the legend, Ray Anderson. Here's the code. It is the code for Thor in the Dark World starter, and it is TD like dog, W like world, S like starter, 38Q like quiet, 6W like world, B like Billy, U like Eunice, 2. All right, take that code. First come, first serve, son. First come, first serve, son. And also, again, big up to Mr. Ray Anderson. Also, if you want to donate codes, email them to me. I will put them up on the show or put them up on Twitter. And I have given away codes in the past. So do keep that in mind. Also, if you like to donate to the show, just check out the blog. There's a donate button there. So if you so choose. All right, anyway, thanks for listening. And remember, we got to start over sometime.
I'm into comic books, figures on the wall. She's into looking good, Vicky C's catalog. And she loves my flaws, yeah, she's not ashamed. I'm a Peter Parker, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. I'm a Peter Parker, she's my Mary Jane. I'm a big nerd around her, but she's cool around me. Never knew how she found me. Electric, but she grounds me. And she loves my flaws, she accepts them all. When the darkness comes, I will get the call. I will swing down to save her.